This is the Utility Room, one of the most unique virtual reality games I have ever played. It was released in 2023 to Steam VR and later PS VR 2, and was developed almost in its entirety by a single person, a solo dev named Lionel Marsden. Now, while the development process and game's reputation are quite small, this game's world is, well, anything but. Now, I could try to explain it myself, but I don't feel like I'd do it much justice, so I'm gonna let the game's summary on its page speak for itself. This VR journey takes you to the behind the scenes of the universe. Beyond a door lies a barren landscape inhabited by strange rocky heads. Here, the maintenance and heavy lifting required keeps existence stable and temporal. You are a tourist. Don't do anything foolish. Now, as you can imagine, if you've played, I don't know, any game ever, you do in fact do something foolish. But what exactly is that? Well, I'm going to explain that to you. But before I do, if you have the means to, I highly suggest you play this game for yourself beforehand, as I would not want to rob you of the experience playing it first time for yourself. But if you don't, then there are plenty of great playthroughs on YouTube for you to watch, including one made by the dev himself. But that's enough of that. So let's start at the most logical place to begin. You wake up on the edge of the universe itself, floating towards a stone door. You've been traveling 3 million years to get to this very place, the entrance to the utility room, where all the work required to keep the universe stable takes place. When you reach the door, you might have many questions, such as, what was I using to get here? What is the language written on this plaque? And where is most of my body? But what you really want to know is, how do you open this door? How do you get into the utility room? You see a small steel ball floating in what appears to be a funnel. You drop the steel ball down the funnel and the door does open. Through the door, you can see what looks like a giant pendulum, or at least a small part of the giant pendulum swinging back and forth, descending far down into the inky black abyss of space below you. To the left of the pendulum is another plaque, and to the right of the pendulum are two other steel balls, rotating around one another. You reach out to touch these steel balls, but these are not keys. These were not meant to be touched. They break upon contact. You just broke a very important part that keeps this place functioning. You begin teleporting around all over the place, and you're now being watched by floating small white heads. You might find it strange that I called them small since they're about the same size as you, but, well, comparatively, they very much are small. The final teleport brings you into the utility room itself, or at least an underground segment of it. And now that you're here, and you screwed everything up, all you really want to do is find a way out, get back to the pendulum. Across your journey through the utility room, discover many giant and strange rocky heads, the cosmic beings that work here. It's not clear how long the time between levels is. Hours, days, years, centuries. It's anyone's guess, really. Eventually, you make it back to the pendulum. Or as close as you'll be able to get. Many watchers float around it, moving, ignoring, doing the jobs they're meant to be doing. These seem to be the most common of the large heads among the utility room, and they're some of the scariest, as, well, one of them almost crushed you earlier. As you reach the pendulum, another watcher approaches it, intending just to go right under it, but since you destabilized it earlier, it gets its timing wrong, and the pendulum comes crashing back down onto the watcher, killing it. You have caused nothing but havoc. in this integral place to existence, and you are to be reprimanded for it. But I don't really want to explain that part of the game. Go play it for yourself if you want to see that very, very interesting ending. It's important to note that the utility room didn't start as a VR game, but it was originally a short film that was adapted into a VR game. So when creating the short film, had you planned for it to become a VR game at some point, or was...
Well, it was mainly based on the fact that it was based on my own limitations. The fact that I made it a film initially, because I knew it was going to be VR. I knew that was necessary to have a sense of scale, but I only knew 3D software. I only knew Cinema 4D, which is a type of animation and rendering software.
I'm not really going to discuss much about the lore itself or analyze it. There's a really good video on YouTube that already explains most of that. But instead, I want to discuss 5 of the key themes in the utility room, and what makes it one of the best examples of cosmic horror I have ever experienced. The first key theme is more of a subgenre that the utility room falls into, but it is pivotal to the whole experience. That is cosmic horror. This is a subgenre of horror that mainly focuses on fear of the unknown. It primarily features existential dread, powerful cosmic forces, and how truth is often stranger than fiction. It was created by H.P. Lovecraft when he released the short story Dagon all the way back in 1919. Which means that the subgenre has existed for over 100 years now. Although he broke out with the Call of Cthulhu in 1928, which began the Cthulhu mythos, which is easily his most popular work. Well, despite his personal beliefs, which weren't the greatest, his creation of the subgenre is impossible to understate. There are many other iconic landmarks of the subgenre as well, such as the 2006 novel All Tomorrows, a billion-year chronicle of the myriad species and mixed fortunes of Maoli, or more simply put as All Tomorrows, which was written, illustrated with many a grotesque cosmic being by the Turkish artist C.M. Kuzumen. Other popular examples of cosmic horror include the SCP Foundation and the Backrooms, which recently became more popular thanks to its film adaptation. Now, the utility room itself is a barren landscape of infinite scale, occupied by large cosmic entities that barely acknowledge our existence. And the ones that do view us as an inferior life form that is interfering with their work. The sheer impossible scale and the powerful abstract beings in the utility room is enough to terrify any mortal being, which is what makes it an effective example of cosmic horror.
I think the inexplicable, the inexplicable aspect of being alive and this is how strange it is to exist, when that existential reality is experienced, is terrifying. And I think the utility room embodies that.
The second theme, and the one that a lot of people played this game for, is megalophobia. Megalophobia, simply put, is the fear of large objects. It is often associated with looking up at tall skyscrapers or being close to giant things like mountains. This aspect inherently ties into cosmic horror due to the sheer scale of the universe, and even just other celestial bodies like planets and stars. The Cthulhu mythos also utilizes this to expand on its cosmic horror, as many of the cosmic entities featured in it are often overwhelmingly large beings, many bigger than planets or even galaxies, especially with the cosmic deity Azathoth, who is described as limitless and physically incalculable in size. Now, just to prove how effective megalophobia is in the utility room, I made my friend play one of the scarier levels in the game.
What?
Start going forward. There's the exit at the other end of the canyon. Look across the canyon. Yeah, it's not. It's pretty obvious. I told you there's no jump scares. And look left now. Look.
Oh shit! No, move. What is that? Stop. Hello? Okay, move. Stop. Get me off this thing.
Yeah, as you can see, it works. Yeah, anyway, why does it work? So, the megalophobia is amplified by the game being in virtual reality. Many of the entities are thousands of times larger than us, such as the Watchers being about 700 meters in height, or the largest of the Rocky Heads, the Wanderer, being about 14,000 meters tall. Also, when you get up close to these beings, you can truly take in their size, and just how small they make you feel, and how big they are to you. The third theme is kind of an aspect of cosmic horror, but I think the game gives a big enough focus on it where I could talk about it separately, and that would be the cosmic insignificance of humanity. Now, this is more of a cold, hard fact about our existence, that we are tiny beings that inhabit one small rock in a universe over 90 billion light years in diameter that has existed for almost 14 billion years. The cosmic calendar is a good analogy often used to portray just how small we are. This analogy condenses the universe's timeline into a single calendar year. Now, if this were the case, all recorded human history would only begin to unfold about 12 seconds to midnight on December 31st. And each day of this cosmic year would represent approximately 38 million years. Now, in the utility room, most entities completely ignore you. Their jobs are too important to give you any peace of mind. Their jobs are just too important to give you any recognition whatsoever. They almost kill you sometimes because they just don't know you're there. Kind of like how when we go out on walks on the street, we might accidentally step on an ant or a spider or something, and we just keep going. We didn't even know it was there to begin with. Or maybe you were an especially deranged individual who would stomp on them if you did notice them. But anyway, their jobs are far too important, and we can't even comprehend what they are. That shows how insignificant we are to the cosmic beings that reside within the utility room. The penultimate theme this game explores that I'd like to talk about is epistemological skepticism. Sure, I massacred that. This is the belief that humanity understands nothing about the universe from both a scientific and philosophical perspective, and all the research we've put in is just guesses, really. This belief system dates all the way back to ancient Greece in approximately 300 BC. It was formalized by Pyrrho of Elis and developed by Arcesilaus. The fundamentals of this belief system still hold up well over 2,000 years on. Now, in the utility room, this belief stands very true. To us, the entities are just moving around, not really doing anything. But in actuality, they are fulfilling tasks that we are incapable of understanding and comprehending. And they have been doing these tasks since the creation of the universe, the creation of existence. Additionally, all of this explains why the universe is kept as stable as it is. And all studies and theories that have been given by so many scientists over so many centuries to try and explain all of these things are wrong. So things like the gravitational constant, the speed of light, and why everything is kept very fine-tuned in the universe as a result of the tasks these entities fulfill in the utility room. The final theme this game uses to great effect is, well, the butterfly effect. This is where one insignificant change can cause other things of far greater caliber to happen. The term was coined in 1961 by an MIT meteorologist named Edward Lorenz. While running a weather simulation, he rounded up a variable from 0.506127 to 0.506, which resulted in a drastically different weather pattern. The name of the belief comes from a question Lorenz posed in 1972, where he asked, "Does the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil set off a tornado in Texas?" In the utility room, the act of us as the player accidentally destroying the keepers and destabilizing the pendulum at the start of the game resulted in one of the watchers being killed by it. We, as a tiny insignificant ant to these cosmic forces, caused such a catastrophic failure completely on accident. Realistically, destroying the keepers was not the small mistake, but rather us choosing to travel to the utility room was, as well as even daring to have the curiosity to meddle with these forces. What was the takeaway you wanted players to have after finishing the game?
Essentially, I wanted them to take nothing away. I wanted to undercut their idea of what was going on every single time. And I would say that the ending for me was, people think it's controversial. I think people say that it wasn't right or tonally didn't fit or didn't make sense or undermined everything else. And I would say, how on earth do people suppose they know what's going on in the first place to also know that it's being undermined? And that is the whole idea, is that no one has any idea what's going on. That is the terrifying part, that the cosmic horror aspect is that, there is no cosmic understanding. It is inexplicable. Existing is a ride.
And after I've discussed all these themes, I hope you can see why I love this game so much. I think it is a unique and interesting interpretation as to what cosmic forces may control our existence may be. It is a game that does not hold the player's hand and only tells them what it wants to let them know. It is a game that is better because it is not understood, rather than because it is understood. It effectively delivers a dread-inducing experience to the players, while leaving them to ponder many questions well after they finish the game. I very much congratulate Lionel on making such a captivating game. And it also got an update recently, so, another reason to go play the game. Go play it. And while you're at it, play the Time Machine. It's his second effort, and it's just as good. Anyway, that's it from me. And now, I ask you to ponder this. Next time you think you have something really, really, really important to do, just remember that that is nothing compared to what the beings that control our existence do in the world of the utility room. But you should also probably do the thing you think's important.